Today we, as usual, have Brooke with us, and but we have a special guest today, the great and powerful Mario Armstrong. How are we doing, Mario?
Hey, thanks so much for having me on. I'm excited to be here. Really, ever since Brooke hit me up and was like, "Hey, what do you think about this podcast?" There's a whole story behind that, and it's a great one. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course, it's good seeing you. Mario, can you properly introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I guess I would say that my name's Mario Armstrong. I'm a husband, a father of one. Christopher is our son. My wife and I went in business together. She would say begrudgingly for her, but I convinced her eventually, and she decided to come on board and has taken the company to kind of new heights. But before that happened, we hit rock bottom together, and no safety net, nothing there. I mean, we did have 401k that we maxed out and all these other things. And basically, we were trying to create our own production company, our own business, where we would create content that would motivate, empower entrepreneurs, creators, and people that are really just looking to get more out of life. They know there's just something else there and they need some help, advice, and direction. We are really wanting to be that source for that. But we went bankrupt pursuing the dream. We can laugh about it now. It wasn't very difficult at the time. My mother-in-law was paying for our groceries, which was really rough for me to swallow, because this was like the idea that I created for us to go after, while we're raising our son. And I was looking for change in the sofa, trying to find change to go to the Coinstar machines to get money to basically become gas money to take us to our next opportunity. And
Wow.
years later, we stayed with it and created something called Never Settle, because we kind of proved to ourselves that we were pretty consistent and resilient. We got back up and kept fighting for the dream and started creating our shows and started doing our stuff that we were doing, and ended up winning a couple of Emmys for those shows that we created on our own, even against other people telling us we would never get those shows made or we would never get them funded. And so that's kind of like my life story. I'm the guy that kind of grew up always wanting to root for the underdog because I've always felt like the underdog. And I didn't do well in school. And, that could be because I have ADHD. We don't know if I do or not. I suspect I probably do. And because I don't have a lot of focus for a long amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I've heard so much in what you were just saying about like that social justice issue, being a do-gooder for other people. Yes, you started off with not having the means and going through a lot of adversity, but at the same time, regardless, I think based on your suspected ADHD and who you are at the core, you would still be a do-gooder and
Yeah.
help other people.
It's important. It's important to the core of what we do. We don't think about how do we make money first. We think about how do we make impact first. That's when you're in business, you have to still be very smart about making financial decisions. But a lot of, we just don't believe in making the decision to do something based solely on the finance. It's got to be based off the impact and intention, the intentionality first. And obviously we're going to try to do things that are in spaces where if they do well, everyone should be able to win financially, but that's not the main reason for doing it. And so, today you can catch me on the Today Show talking about technology and entrepreneurship. I'm in partnership with Damon John from Shark Tank, and we do a lot of things together in the public speaking space. And then a lot of brands hire and work with our company both to create content, but also we pitch brands to sponsor our content. And based off of being able to do that, we've done that pretty well to fund our own ideas. We also now teach people how they can actually get brand sponsorships for their ideas and their events or their podcasts as well. So that's kind of like our
That's
story in a nutshell.
genius. You took that resilience in yourself and your wife, and now you essentially teach that.
That's right.
So you
Yes.
started from nothing, you were motivated, you had this story, you had this challenge, you overcame it, and now you're the expert empowering other people. I love that.
Mario, I want to ask you, you bring up, you deliver inspiration and advice just to keep propelling, harness your passion, stay driven. How do you think you can relate that? Obviously, we are ADHD Power Tools. We talk about ADHD. How can you relate that to the ADHD you brought up earlier that you think you're suspected to have?
I think the way to relate that would be to try to do motivation in small chunks.
Mm-hmm.
I think often I feel that we overwhelm ourselves with the things that we are capable of doing because we all have immense human potential. And so it's reflected in our to-do list every day. Like all you got to do is ask somebody for their to-do list, and it's like, oh, you're going to get all 20 of those things done today.
It's like a CVS receipt.
It's exactly what it. But I just bought one thing. It's okay. This is how they all come out. Like it's, and so it's like,
Yes,
but I only got one thing done. Look at all the things on the receipt.
But look at all the little things. Yeah.
And so I think, you know, I think to focus, and I really don't like the word focus, and it's funny that I just said it because I really want to kind of say why I don't like it. We use that word a lot, and I think it's become overutilized, number one, in my opinion. Number two, it already makes the assumption that you already aren't trying to concentrate. And I think that that's just wrong. Everyone's already trying to concentrate. They're already trying to deliver their best. They don't need more focus. What people, in my opinion, need is more opportunity. And so I think that one of the ways to create that is to do things in smaller chunks so that the pie isn't overwhelming. And because we can create a to-do list of all these things, we think we can accomplish it. But if all of you are really being honest with ourselves, when we look at it, we feel kind of deflated that we didn't get all those things done at the end of the day. And then we start the next day trying to pick up off the things that we didn't get done and then adding on top of that. So I believe that if we can do things in small chunks, we can really give our best potential in small increments. And over time in the aggregate, you'll see big results.
Absolutely. That's like the 1% rule that we were talking about, Ali, in an earlier episode. People have such a hard time understanding that concept. Like that small chunk could literally be just buy the book or go to the coffee shop.
Because we're so conditioned that rewards have to be big. And if we could reframe the reward, and this is a really important point on how we try to move, and even these like sneakers and things that you see kind of like behind me, these sneakers and stuff that are all around me, they're actually done on purpose. Like I'm a sneakerhead. Yes, I love sneakers. That's part of my style and who I am, but there's a more strategic reason behind it. I actually attach, do I have it right here? Where do I have it? I actually attach what I call, give me a second and I'll find them super faster. I call tangible affirmations. Tangible affirmations are like, so I have these cards where I'll put a card and associate that with a thing I've bought that I would like to wear. I can't wear that thing until I reach this goal. So in this case, these shoes will sit on this rack behind me, and I see it every single day, but this is for the distribution partner. Until I get that distribution partner, I cannot wear those pair of shoes. So it keeps me kind of like attentive, and I see this every day. Some of these things will sit for a year, by the way. Like, and you can't give up. Like
collect dust.
They're collecting dust. So I call them tangible affirmations. To me, I'm a visual. I need things that I can tangibly touch and see and feel. So I buy my reward in advance, but I can't use it or implement it until I hit the goal.
That's huge. I haven't heard of that. I've heard of the reward being attached to the action, but then doing the reward afterwards. But this is right in front of you, and you want to touch it, you want to see it, and you can't. Like, look, you gamify this.
And look, and some of this stuff is seasonal. And so you're buying things that are like going to be worn in the spring, and you're like, damn it, I'm not going to hit this goal by spring.
Come on.
It's going to have to wait till next spring.
That's a lot of willpower. I would take those shoes and be like, I'm the one who came up with this reward. Oh, well.
Yeah. I've often wanted to cheat myself, but I would feel so lame for doing so. I have a pair of shoes that were the first pair of shoes that I bought when we first decided to go on our own and do our show. It took 2 years before they were the shoes that I would wear on the first episode. It took 2 years before I could wear those shoes.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to things I can accomplish in 3 months now, I need shorter.
There you go.
But to the point, one of the things that we do is that we do every Sunday, we do my 3 wins. And so you go around the family and you go around your friends or via text message or whatever, and just mention the 3 things that you did well that week. And people constantly are looking for the big win. And it's like, no, did you send that one email that you were hesitant to send? Did you get that exam done that you were really sweating about doing? Did you take your kid to go, get the ice cream cone? Like, was that a great moment or not? Like, that was a win. So I think if we can reframe our wins, we start to feel more progress more consistently. And therefore, we actually also reduce stress. And I think we get to the bigger wins just because we're getting the smaller wins along the way and respecting and appreciating them.
Mhm.
I love that. I think it's so hard for people to come up with a win. Like you said, they don't see small things as a win. They're so gap focused and like our brains are wired to think negatively. So
That's right.
reframing, like you said, and starting with the positive and starting with the win can help you frame your day.
We
Yeah,
overestimate what we can get done in a year and underestimate what we could get done in, say,
Well, what did you do with the 25 hours on Sunday? Were you more productive, Mario?
on
Or
Sunday.
did you wait an hour? Yeah.
Oh, right, because of the time, right? No, I just waited.
Exactly. You're like, I got this hour. Maybe I'll sleep later or I'll just wait.
That's right.
We all have to say it's so funny. It is so funny. But I love the small chunks.
yeah, and it's just the humility to set the bar low enough for yourself. Just that, not just slightly getting better on a continuous basis. Slightly is a key term. Emphasis on that. That cliche saying, comparing yourself to who you were yesterday, right?
Right.
You actually really got to live by it, embrace who you are, your experiences. And there's going to be those days. I want to talk about like velocity versus acceleration.
Ooh,
Okay.
beautiful.
Say you're in a
We
plane.
got the med student here.
Yeah, Ollie, let's go. I love it. This is great.
Velocity being speed and obviously acceleration. You say you're in a plane and it's going 650 miles an hour roughly, right? You don't feel that, do you? You only feel it when it slows down or speeds up, takes off, lands. That you only feel when the speed changes. So in life, velocity means very little, but acceleration is everything. So happiness is only interesting when it's juxtaposed with sadness. And I think it's really important to understand that, yeah, have the humility to set the bar low enough for yourself, but you're going to have those weeks or days that are going to be a little bit tough. And, that is also what makes you slightly better on a continuous basis.
That's beautiful.
That
It's
little
a great,
simple.
it's a great visual. It's so true. We live in the life of duality. Like that's what we live in. There's plus and minus. There's, black
Risk or
and white.
reward.
There's risk and reward. There's,
Mhm.
so there is that duality of happiness and sadness. And so understanding that infrastructure is really important because even what both of you are really also saying to me is like, when you understand that our brains of how we've evolved as humans work in the way that they do to protect us and to look out for things, then you know how to hack it. Because when it happens and
Mhm.
you're like, oh, that makes me nervous, I don't think I should do it, you're like, oh, that's right, that's your job. I'm fearful of going to speaking in front of this audience, but it's not a lion that it's really going to kill me, but that's how my brain reacts,
Mhm.
that I feel like it's life or death. And it really feels that real to
Yes.
me. So, and that's a real space and a real emotion that we have to understand and let them have that. But then what we are trying to teach everyone to understand is like, yeah, but that's your initial reaction that your body is going through to keep you safe. Your brain is saying
Yes.
something you're doing feels uncomfortable and we don't like that. So our job is to make sure you're comfortable. But that
Yes.
doesn't really help us when we're trying to grow personally.
Mhm.
And that's where the difference. Yeah, it's
Yes.
great for when
It's
it's dark at night and we're in an alley and we don't understand what's going on and we hear something. Perfect for that. We laser in really quick and we can see everything in slow
oh
motion.
yeah.
But when it's about going after our goals, we start letting a whole bunch of other ideas get into our head that slow us down from potential of action. And so I love this idea of, velocity and acceleration, because what that also speaks to is movement matters. It
Yes.
and movement that you may not
Yes.
feel,
All movements.
Yeah.
and movement that you're actually feeling because of the adjustment that's going on. Maybe someone said no to something, so now you feel like you got kicked back. Maybe someone said yes, so now you feel like running faster forward. But the point is, movement is critical, and kind of reminds me of the difference between efficiency and effectiveness and how people use those words
Mm,
interchangeably, but it's the wrong usage. And what we're really shooting
yeah.
for, in my opinion, is we're shooting to be more effective. You know, if we want to do things, process over and over and do it better, that would be efficiency. But I think as human beings, we want to make sure that we're doing the right process at the right time and be more effective with who we are and what we're doing.
Yeah.
That reminds me so much of like RSD, of emotional regulation, the freeze, fight, and flight that we were talking about, Ellie. And I think going back to your why, right? On like when you get tripped up and you get the nose, right? Like
you'll get them. You'll get them.
You'll get a lot of no's, right?
You're supposed to if you're doing something great.
Exactly. I love it. And look at you. You are a success story. And like, this is just the beginning of your story, Mario. I mean,
and we still get
no's from here.
We still like it's so important that people that you visualize making it get this. This blew my mind away. So I get this access being at these stages and going to these shows and conferences and public speaking. So I get to meet a lot of people, which is great. And I'm not saying this as a flex. I'm saying this because I'm a student behind the scenes, and then I want to share this thing with you that I think can really help you all break through. And that is, I get into the Today Show and I'm in these green rooms. Well, you got all kind of celebrities and different types of people and psychologists and authors and finance experts and people coming through there all the time. My segment's usually done by like 8:35. I'm hanging out in there till 10 a.m. until they actually shut the show down. And everyone's always like, why is Mario still here? And it's like, because I'm soaking up everything.
Networking.
And just learning and watching and observing. And one of the things that I've found that has been told to me over and over by people that I look to as successful. So this goes to any of you that look to people that are successful in your eyes. What they don't want you to really know. And the ultimate secret is, they don't know what they're doing. They're making it up as they go along. Eventually, they learn some things from what they didn't know, but they made up as they went through it. And now they start to have some expertise. But the minute they jump into a new field, or the minute they try something that's out, say they're a finance expert, now they're doing something in health. That's a whole new industry. That's not just transfer skills, that there's some things, but not everything. So that you can start having that imposter syndrome and start thinking like, who am I to be in this? And so the point I'm trying to say is take the veil off, everybody, because guess what? Mario doesn't know any more than you do what he's about to do next. He's trying and he's learning as he's doing. But the only thing I can tell you is that if you don't do, you will never know.
Exactly. And there you have it. Like, just do it. That Nike symbol right behind you.
Yeah. And just stay curious. And the way to just do it, in my opinion, is to just stay curious. If you treat your ideas like a hypothesis and not like it's got to work, oh, this thing has to happen, and you get that kind of attachment and energy going, that's tough. And I only know because I've been on the other side of acting like that. And I mean, I just had a conversation with, we call her CEO, Nicole, and we kind of just butted heads on something. And it's rare for us because we often don't do that. And we butted heads. And I was like, it's my energy. I put too much attachment into this thing happening a certain way that now it's bringing this angst into this. I got to step out. My bad. Let's regroup tomorrow. This isn't, so it was a tough one. Tough pill to follow.
Yeah, there's this acronym H, well, I'll say it and then I'll say the acronym: high attachment, low connection. So if you are so attached to that outcome, you have this like, it's hard to connect on the way through it. So not being so attached to your outcome, and just, it's a vision, it's a goal. Like, it doesn't have to be what you're saying it's going to be, because things change along the way.